Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today back to work over here on the old steam Stoker engine. No, we haven't forgotten about this job. There's just been so much going on. I've got so many irons in the fire, it's just hard to finish anything up, and I need to get this thing finished up. We've been working on the rings for the valves, and when I kind of left off on this, we had gotten the pistons in, but I was having a little bit of trouble with it just being really stiff to turn. And I did actually a couple of weeks ago when I was just out here one evening messing around, playing around with it, just trying to figure out what was going on. I think I did figure out what was going on. I actually worked on a little bit of it, but I wanted to kind of bring you guys up to speed on where we're at, what I think I've got going on as an issue, and what we're doing to try to get it straightened out. So let me kind of zoom you in over here and show you what's going on, and we'll get to work on this steam Stoker engine, see how far we can get along on it on this episode. So I've kind of got you looking down here into the works of this engine, and as I got to playing around with this thing, I was noticing that as the pistons kind of got on both of them up to top dead center and bottom dead center, that it was just getting really stiff to move. When they were kind of in the middle of the stroke, it wasn't too bad. And I'm like, what could be going on? And I started kind of playing around with, I loosened up the top strap here on the top. And when I did, it went to turning real nice and smooth. And so I started kind of investigating things and looking into it a little bit more. I pulled off these top plates. So if you remember, there's on this crosshead that's moving back and forth inside this channel, there's a big block of Babbitt down there that moves back and forth. We poured it in place, and when I poured them, I kind of poured them where it was in the middle of the stroke. And in that area, it was moving really good, but again, getting tight on the ends. Well, I went and checked these plates and to see how flat they were, and they were very not flat. And I think that was a big part of my problem. Basically, these were just done on a milling machine. Quinn over at Blondie Hacks actually made these for me. And, when she made them, I said, you know what, I'm going to throw those up on the surface grinder and grind them. And I just never did it. And I really kind of forgot about it. So what I did, and I've already done this off camera, is I actually ground the bottom of these. I didn't grind the top of them, I ground the bottom of them, and I got those flat. And when I put them back on, things worked a lot better. However, they were still tight on the ends. And when I say they were flat, they were touching on the ends, but they were a little bit high in the center, even when they were clamped down. And if you remember, I said we poured the Babbitt with it kind of in the center. And I think what's happening is that Babbitt is a little bit higher, just by a few thousandths of an inch in the center, and when it goes up to the ends, it's just getting tight. So what I've been having to do, and I've already done this side, I need to do this side over here, is I just got in there with my hand scraper, and I re-scraped the top of that Babbitt to kind of get it knocked back a little bit, because what happened was when we poured these, they were poured, again, in the center where it was a little bit humped up. When it comes out to the ends, it was getting too tight. Now, when I ground them, it got everything down flat, and it actually got tight in the whole stroke. But again, once I kind of got this one loosened up, or I got it flat and straight, and I loosened up the bolts on the other side, it was turning pretty good. I've still got to do this side on the front here, and that's what I want to try to work on today, is I want to pull these apart. I'm trying to do this without having to take it completely apart. I can get these bars out and get in there where I can do some scraping. So that's exactly what we're going to try to do today. We'll take you for the ride. All right, I got a socket here that fits these bolts, and I'm going to go around. I'm going to have to move the crosshead to get that one loose. I'm going to go ahead and get these loosened up and off of here. And I need to do it on both sides to just kind of get everything where I can work on it. I think I can get on that one. And let me move the crosshead. All right, I think I can get in there now. All right, I should be able to just get these off now. right, so if I remember right, this front side comes off pretty easily. Although, let's see, I need to pull it all the way back, I think. Oh, I remember. I got to pull the studs out too. Now this one comes off, and like I said, I'd already gone there and surface ground the bottom of that, so that is done. And what I need to do is I need to do some scraping on this top piece. In fact, you can kind of feel a little bit of a ledge right there where those come together, and it's just got to be scraped off. So let me get this other side out, and we'll do the same thing on it. Let's see, I need to... Now I can kind of slide that back and up and out of the way. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in here with a scraper, a hand scraper, like we hand scraping machinery ways and stuff. And we're just going to knock this back. And this pattern that we'll put in here will actually allow that oil to move around pretty well. So I'm just going to work on this for a little while until we get it knocked back. This is kind of what I did on the other side, just doing some hand scraping. There's tight quarters in here. It's hard for me to film this, but you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm just going to be doing some scraping. And you see how that scraper's catching on that front edge? That's showing me that's a little bit high. I basically need that to be flush. So I'm going to work on that and get it scraped down until it's where it needs to be, and we'll do it on the other side as well. The other side is a little bit tougher to get into, but I was able to do it on the other one. And again, because I'm going to be kind of standing on my head to get in here to do this, you're probably not going to see a lot of it on film because it's just really difficult. I got to kind of get all around. It's tight quarters, and it's just hard to film it. I'll show this also because in addition to the scraping, I'm also doing some filing. And I want to guys one of these files. This is for like cutting aluminum or soft stuff. I actually have some of these that are marked Babbitt, and they work really good for scraping Babbitt. And I can kind of get in here, and it moves that metal pretty quickly, and you can kind of use the side here as a guide and kind of get it down flush. And if I remember right on the other side, I kind of filed it first, and then I went in there and scraped it afterward just for some oil retention. So I'll be doing a little bit of the combination of the both, and I'm going to get in here and get all these little Babbitt chips out. Fortunately, this Babbitt's really soft. I'm going to get as much of it as I can, even if a little bit stays in here. It's not like it's going to hurt anything. This stuff is super, super soft, but we should be able to get pretty much all of it out. I'll shop vac it out and then wipe it down really good. And I got this side done. There is no lip on this side now. I got that between the filing and the scraping. Kind of got it knocked back, and I think that's going to work a lot better. It's still going to run nice and flush across the top, but it's a little bit below the surface, which is what I need for it to be. So I think it's going to be good. Now the other side, and that's the one that's a pain in the rear. And again, I'm going to do it off camera because I'm going to be standing over on my head and on tiptoes and whatever else, just trying to get back there behind it where I need to be. It's tough to get to, but I was able to do the other one. I think I can do this one as well. I think I've got everything filed and scraped, and now I want to take a couple minutes and kind of clean this up. I'm just going to use a shop vac to get most of this out, and then I'll wipe out the rest of it. But the shop vac usually will get it pretty good. Let's get this cleaned up. Just pushing that piston back forward again. Drop my connecting rod back down in here and see if we can get this pin back in here. Here we go. All right. And this washer goes on the back side here. And we'll have to slide that out. Kind of get my nuts started. Let's get this wrist pin tightened back up. All right. And I think we're ready to put our little rails back on. That is much looser than it was. Still a little bit tight in a couple of places, but I think it's going to run in. What I may do is see if I can get this thing set up where I can just have a motor spinning it to kind of just work it in a little bit. But I think we're ready to move on and get the valves put in. So that'll be coming up next. So the valves on this engine are controlled by these eccentrics right here, and there's a connecting rod that goes up to the front to a little crosshead that then goes up to the actual valves. I'm going to start by putting these connecting rods in, and I had previously checked these bearings. There's just got a bronze bearing in here. I checked them and everything appeared to be in the right sizes and all that when we had done this before. So these should be ready to just kind of go back together, I hope. So I'm going to take these out. These were marked as to which side they originally came off of. So let me get this bolt in there too. So this just kind of straps right on there, kind of like such. These were marked as to which side they went on. I got 2 witness marks on this side, and there's 1 witness mark on the other side. Oh, I see there's a shim that goes in there too. Let me get those shims back in there. On the top, I got some castle nuts here. We'll tighten up. All right, I got these already in place. I'm going to go ahead and put the cotter pins in these just because it's going to be really hard to get to the bottom ones once everything is fully assembled. So I think it's just going to be better to go ahead and do it now. These cotter pins will just keep that nut from turning and loosening up. So let me go ahead and get this in there. So the valve rods are going to come out of these little holes right here, and there is a plate that kind of guides those in. It kind of serves as more or less kind of the crosshead, and the connecting rods connect in there. I'm just going to kind of slide these forward right now, put that up underneath the plate because it needs to be underneath it, and we're ready now, I think, to put our valve rods in. So before I put the valves in, there are again packing glands that go on the valve rods down here, similar to what we've got up here. Basically, there's a little gland here that the packing, this will press it in, and there's a piece on the back that tightens and screws up on there that you can adjust that. I'm going to put the packing in later, but I need to go ahead and get the glands put in now. So this little piece just kind of fits down in that hole, and then there's the cap that screws on top of that. There's 4 of these, and I'm just going to go ahead and get them all kind of put in there. And like I said, I'll have to wait until I get the rods in before I can actually put the packing material in, but we can at least go ahead and get you can't put these in after you put the actual valve rod in. They got to go in first, so we're going to go ahead and get them put in. I've got the valve assembly here, and I'm going to show you this. There's a couple of pieces on here. We've already made the rings. You guys saw the video on that. But basically, you got the back ring. It fits up against this little press piece, and then that sandwiches in between it. You got the forward ring. Again, the piece that sandwiches in between it. And then we've got a castle nut that screws on the front here. And what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this tightened up good. I'm going to go to my vise. I'm not going to move the camera back to where you see. I'm going to get it tightened up and get a cotter pin in this because we're going to need to be able to adjust the length of this. And the way you adjust the length of it, down this end, there's a little knuckle that goes into those connecting rods, and this screws on a piece, and you just have to screw this in and out to get the length set right for the valve. And I'll go through that in a little bit, but I need to go ahead and get this where this is good and tight so that we can adjust this after we put it together. I'm going to take this off. We'll slide the valve in, and this will connect down in the bottom to the connecting rods. And this kind of serves as the crosshead piece right here. All right, let me go get this tightened up. I'll be back in just a minute. So I've got my valve here ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and start on this side. That's going to go into a little hole up in the bottom. That's going to go through the 2 sides there. Now, this liner in here that the valve runs in, if you remember when we did this, it's larger diameter on the outside, then it tapers down to the surface that the ring runs on, then it opens back up, and then it tapers down. So right now, notice it just goes straight in, but it hits the shoulder right there. I should be able to just bump that in. That'll compress that ring down as it goes up that ramp. That's going to get loose again, and then it's going to compress the back one. So before I do that, though, lubrication up in here. So let me... Just going to lubricate everything really good. This should be coming off. Yep, there it goes. And now I'm going to have to get it back up over that ramp again. All right, so this is where this all connects down here in the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and kind of get this put in. There's a screw here, a jam nut. This is where we can adjust the length of that valve. And when we set the valve here in a little bit, I don't know if it'll be in this video, but when we set the valves, we'll have to adjust the length by turning this and tightening that up. I just want to kind of get this on here right now. And then there's this knuckle that comes in place. We'll drop this down, and it looks like my valve's a little bit too far forward right now. So I need to kind of tap that back a little bit. Let's see if this will fit in there now. Okay, and get my pin in there. Well, that pin was a little aggravating to get in, but we got it in. It had to get lined up just right. And I'm going to go ahead and put the cotter pin in the other side here. So I got both of the valve rods connected to the connecting rods here, and I got this plate up underneath the bottom. This kind of guides those crossheads. There's a plate that fits on the top here. It comes in on these side pieces and then catches that in the center, and then that will snug up tight and kind of hold it all into place. We need to go ahead and tighten those bolts up. Let me get my nuts and we'll get that done. Okay. So before we do anything, I want to give everything here a good oiling. Really lube this thing up good. You can see where all the oil channels down into different places in here. There's oil slingers that will sling the oil around in here and keep everything lubed up. This whole area down the bottom, when it's in operation, is actually in an oil bath. Put a little oil on the piston rods here and make sure our cylinders have got a little bit of oil in those. Well, guys, I wanted to bring you back into this engine situation. I kind of wrapped up the last video after I put it back together, and then after I got through with it, I got to thinking about it overnight, and I'm like, you know what? Before I finish this video up, I want to actually get this thing straightened out. And I did, but I did it off camera. I had to come in here and kind of figure out what's going on. So when we put this thing back together, and we put the valves in, I basically couldn't spin the crank on this thing. It was just, everything was just jammed up. And basically the valves were too tight where it wouldn't let them slide back and forth in there. And I got to thinking about, like, what could be causing that? And then it hit me, actually, like it usually does when I'm laying in bed at night trying to go to sleep, thinking about a problem. I'm like, you know, I bet those rings aren't closed up enough. You know, we cut the little gaps in the rings where they could close up. And I came out here, took a flashlight, looked up into the valves, and sure enough, you could see where those rings came together. They were touching, and there should be a little gap in there. There should be a little bit more room where they can collapse down a little bit smaller. So off camera, I came in here and took everything back out, at least the valves back out. I went over back to the milling machine. I actually enlarged those slots just a little bit where they could collapse down just a little bit more, put it all back together, and yeah, it's working now. So that fixed that problem. And I'm sorry I didn't do it on video. I was just kind of in troubleshooting mode, trying to figure it out, and I got it all done. I did, though, want to cover one thing, because there is instructions on how to set the valves on this, where you basically can get them set in the proper position. And I've already done it, but I want to kind of show you the process just because it's interesting, and I thought you guys would enjoy seeing it. So let me show you that. So in my little manual book that I've got on this, it actually has instructions for setting valves on the Stoker engine. And it's pretty straightforward. Basically what it says is to take the right cylinder, and it specifies the right cylinder is the cylinder on the right when you're facing the front of the cylinders. But you take the right cylinder and you put it on top dead center, which is basically where it is right now. Not basically, it is where it is right now. This is at the top dead center. And then it gives you measurements that you can come in here and measure from the face down to the edge of the valve ring. And it gives you a measurement for both the right valve and the left valve, where that valve should be positioned to be properly positioned. So, and I'll just tell you, for the right valve, it's 1 43/64, and on the left valve, it's 2 3/32 of an inch is what it says it needs to be. Now, I converted those fractions over to decimals. I don't remember exactly what the numbers are. I did this the other day, but then I took a set of calipers. Notice I have my little attachment that you can put on the bottom for doing depth measurements. And I came in here and basically measured from the face down to the edge of that ring, and we set both of these to the right length. Now, when I put this back together the second time, what I kind of did is I got it close to that measurement, just kind of put it in here close, and then I adjusted the little yoke on the other end that connects to the connecting rod for the valve. Got it to where the pin would go in, and it was, off just a little bit, but then to fine tune it, once it was close, I could just basically turn this nut on the inside, and that screws into that little yoke on the other end, and you just adjust it in and out till you get the right place, and then there's a lock nut over there where you can lock it down. And I'll show you that here in just a second. But we just adjusted these until we got them to the proper size, and right now, these valves, they should be set. And this is what I was talking about. You got this little yoke here that goes around there that connects to the connecting rod. And I just kind of screwed that in and out to where it was close to being the right size, and I was able to bump the valve in and out to get the pin. The pins went in much easier this time because I had a little bit, I could actually move that valve to adjust it. And once I screwed the screw in and out to get the length just right, there's a lock nut on the end that you lock that in place, and that basically locks it all in. So these valves, again, are set. I need to put my little cover piece back on this. There's a piece that covers all that up that kind of keeps these valves running straight. Now that I'm through setting those, I can finish that up, and I think we'll have this engine pretty well put back together. And now it is turning over. It is a little bit stiffer than what I would like, but I think we can work with that. I think what I'm going to do is see if I can come up with a way to get this where I can just power this thing and turn it and just kind of let it run in a little bit. I think it's going to loosen up very nicely. It's actually not bad. It's got a couple little spots that are just a little bit on the tight side, but I think it's going to be all right. We are making good progress. Next, I need to get the ends closed up here. We got the heads that go on here. I got to make some gaskets. And like I said before, I probably do that. I'm going to leave these open and let it kind of run in. I kind of got an idea how I might be able to do that. And I'd really like to run it on air. This thing should run on just compressed air. It won't have the power that it would with steam, because steam has that expansion, but it should run on compressed air, and I would like to get that just to make sure everything's working like it should. But we're making good progress on the Stoker engine, finally. All right, guys, with that, that's a wrap. As always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Those thumbs up and comments are always greatly appreciated. Please hit that bell icon to get notifications when new videos are posted. As always, a huge thank you to those who support the site financially through Patreon, PayPal, and YouTube memberships. And as always, thanks for watching.